What is up, guys? I'm going to be doing a tier list today. This is actually a photo. I can send you this photo, but the problem is that on some devices, it does not like the little emblems that I use, which is a little bit unfortunate. It particularly does not like my high sig emblem. But anyway, this is my tier list, and I'll be going over some of the more controversial ones and whatnot. So, firstly, I do want to say that they are ranked within their class. So, Magneto is above Archangel, and along. And I kept Beyond God tier, I kept God tier, and I kept Demigod tier. And the last four, I just use little colorful names for it. So we have Fabulous tier, Acceptable tier, Tolerable tier, and Atrocious tier. So, there you go. And without further ado, here's my tier list. So I'm going to go over the first three categories very quickly, and then I'll explain further into detail. So first off, the legend. The star means that they need to be awakened. The little spinny star that is a little bit lighter means high sig. Max sig is the circle with the asterisk in it. Synergy is the yin yang. Horseman is the horse, and Mystic Dispersion is the M. So, just realizing right now that I actually have my cursor on an iOS, so that's a little bit an ugly little image, but whatever, ignore that. So in mutant class, I have Magneto, Archangel, Apocalypse, Colossus, Omega Red, and Strife as the Beyond God tiers. Then I have Nick Fury, Falcon, Aegon. Science is Quake, Human Torch, Captain America, Infinity War, Immortal, Abomination, and She-Hulk. Mystic is Doctor Doom, Sorcerer Supreme, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Tigra, Symbiote Supreme, Magic. Cosmic is Hyperion, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Corvus Glaive, Captain Marvel Movie. Tech is Ghost, Warlock, Guardian, and Guillotine 2099. So, let's go over this category. Why do I believe that Magneto is the best? And I've been resistant to this because I really like Colossus, but Magneto's perfect block is just so good. And if you have Pacify, he has 100% reduction on ability accuracy on his stuns when facing mutants. I do believe Archangel is the next best mutant, and that's because of his ability to shut stuff down just so easily, so quickly. And if you want to make him a horseman, it's just that much faster. Apocalypse, if it weren't for his synergies, I think he would be probably the last. No, no, no. If it weren't for his synergies, I guess him and Colossus would just switch, because he's still really good. Apocalypse is really good for damage, for not shrugging stuff off. He can become immune to bleed, incinerate, evade. So he's a really good champion, but his horseman ability is just so good. Colossus, once awakened, he's just a beast. I mean, the highest sig you can get him is amazing, but he's a beast just awakened, and his ability to be tanky and his damage is just through the roof, and he's just such a good champion. Omega Red, I don't run suicides, but even if I did, I just feel like at some point bursty damage is just honestly, I'm not really a big fan of damage if I'm being honest. I'd rather have utility, and Omega Red is really good, but a lot of people think that you need the synergy for him, so that synergy is iffy. A lot of people think you need that, and I'm not going to bring in an Omega Red and turn on suicides just and probably coagulate as well, just so I can just melt some kids down. I mean, Omega Red is a really good champion. In Strife, I put the synergy in there. In my mind, he needs to have the unblockable at 20 charges, which is his Apocalypse synergy. Not the Horseman, but the actual synergy with Apocalypse. And I think that, and that also makes Apocalypse much, much better. So they're a really good duo. I have Strife as a 6-star from the 6-star feature that I opened in my Abyss opening, if you want to check that out. But, I mean, if I can actually get an Apocalypse, maybe I'll run them together and see how it is. But that's why they are Beyond God tier and why they're ranked in that area. Strife just has utility, but it's mostly damage as well, and it's less bursty and less easy to get than Omega Reds. Um, Nick Fury is number one. This is undisputed. Like, even without, here's the thing, without Deep Wounds, Nick Fury might still be number one. Without Deep Wounds, Nick Fury is probably like number two under Falcon. But with Deep Wounds, Nick Fury is so good. And this is controversial, but people always ask me, like, how good is Captain Marvel movie? Should I rank her? And my answer is usually, do you have Deep Wounds and do you run Nick Fury? Because if you have Deep Wounds, you're probably going to be running Nick Fury anyway, and so Captain Marvel movie, it says synergy there, but think about it. If you have a Nick Fury who hits so hard, it's so good, and you have Deep Wounds, it's not really a synergy because he's going to be on your team anyway. So he's just such a good champion. He hits so hard, lots of utility, and in that first life, he's technically able to be immune to any debuff because the second he dies, he will shrug it. Falcon, especially in Alliance, where we're seeing how useful he is, he hits really, really hard. A lot of utility in terms of lock on. And that Awaken ability gives him that. Oh, I need to go back and do the Awaken ability. So the Awaken ability for Archangel, I went over all those. High Sig for Omega Red because you want the damage. Nick Fury, the Awaken ability gives him the second life. That's really good. Falcon, the Awaken ability gives the crit rating, which I feel like is a really big deal for him. Aegon, you want as high sig as possible. I'm not a big fan of Aegon. Once you've done there are three things that you can use him for. Abyss, Labyrinth of Legends, he's not necessary, but he's very, very good. And there is Act 6, Chapter 3, a couple of the skill buffs that you can use, the skill boosts, make him really good in certain lanes. But Aegon, I just feel like is so overrated. And if you have a 5-star Aegon, that's it. There's no reason you should be rank 3ing a 6-star Aegon, in my opinion. And I'll have a rank 3 6-star video out, and you'll see how low I put him on that list. But a 5-star Aegon is amazing. Once you're past that, forget about it. You don't need a 6-star Aegon. Alright, moving on. Quake. Everybody knows why Quake is so good. Heavy, ignore everything in the game. Human Torch. Melt stuff. I mean, the Awaken ability is nice, but it's not something I'd rely on because generally, since it's not something I can rely on, I would save my pre-fight for the best fight anyway, and therefore it's not really that helpful to be able to get it back. Captain America Infinity War, you want him at max sig, and ideally you want him with either the tech or the skill or the cosmic synergies, depending on where you're using him, but he's just a really good champion. Immortal Abomination is a great champion. I don't have him, but he's also worth an Awakening gem for sure. Really, really good. Hits really hard, counters a lot of different nodes, and with your main damage is poison and acid burn, there are not a lot of people who are immune to that. She-Hulk, great champion as well. A lot of skill, but just so good. That taunt mechanic is just so powerful. That ability to hit super hard and have them throw specials at a whim is just phenomenal and really, really good. Moving on to Mystic class, Doctor Doom, number 1, obviously. He's just a great champion. Doctor Doom and Quake together make any power gain situation easy. Doctor Doom is passive power gain. Quake is like just enhanced power from combat, and those two are really powerful together. But Doctor Doom, really good with power gain. That Awakening, I believe that he is worth an Awakening gem, but at Sig 1. And so I guess I could put that star there, but he's good without it. The thing is that his shock is just kind of useless, and so I would say Sig 1 is fine, Sig 0 is fine. Great champion. Sorcerer Supreme, really underrated. I love her. If you run Suicides, probably not for you, but great champion. At Sig 17, she can counter Domino. At Sig 200, she can counter Domino when even unlucky. She is so good. Her regen on block is phenomenal and a great champion. Black Widow Clairvoyant, really, really good champion. I have her at rank 3. Mystic Dispersion, I actually put on here because I like to mix Mystic Dispersion with her immune power gain, or power gain when you're immune, and together you can spam special attacks. A lot of good immunity. She's really, really good for any questing team because she can bring so many things to the table at once in one team spot. Tigra, amazing champion. I'm still getting good with her. I've died a couple times in war using her, which is annoying, but that's my lack of skill. If you can play Tigra, she is so good. She counters so many different people, some of the hardest in the game. A phenomenal champion, and she can hit really, really hard if you play her right as well. Symbiote Supreme, he needs Mystic Dispersion more than anyone else. He's the reason I put in this Mystic Dispersion caveat. Because without Mystic Dispersion, Symbiote Supreme takes forever to get power. So Symbiote Supreme needs Mystic Dispersion, but if he can get that, he's going to hit like a truck. If they can bleed, get armor broken, and if they have buffs, those three together, and he's an insane option. Absolutely ridiculous. Magic, still amazing at power control. I have her at rank 4 unawakened. Just because I don't feel like using her because I have Doom and I have Quake. But Magic is a great champion. She's really good in Alliance War and all these other things. She's a really good champion. She hits hard as well on the special too. For Cosmic, we have Hyperion. Once you awaken him, that's it. Sig 1 and Sig 200 is like a 5% difference or something in terms of overall buff duration. He hits so hard. His power gain can get around a lot of mechanics just by spamming special 1. And he just hits really hard. He's really good. Cosmic Ghost Rider, His power gain is great. His damage is phenomenal. Probably best damage in the game, or very close to it. Um, the trigger Dex thing that when he first came out, people were like, "Oh, he's great, but you can't trigger Dex, which makes him hard to play." Is has just been proven almost completely incorrect. You just don't have to trigger Dex at the right time, and that's it. So as long as you're smart about it, you can play him like a normal champion and hit really, really hard. Corvus Glaive, if you've watched any of my videos or any of the earlier ones, you know how much I want him. I've been going after him forever. He hits so hard. His ability to stay at 1 HP is just phenomenal with an awakened ability. The special 2 with the power boost and that small power drain it does is just so good. He's packed with utility. And I really, really want him. He is one of the reasons I went for the Cosmic Abyss Nexus. Captain Marvel movie I mentioned before, but that awaken ability gives her a lot of utility. She hits really hard. I have a Captain Marvel guide on the channel as well if you want to watch it to maximize binary. And her synergy partner is Nick Fury. So I mean, is that even really a synergy partner? Not really, because it doesn't really take up a team slot. It's Nick Fury and it's Captain Marvel movie. So they're phenomenal together. With Despair, she can counter healing as well. Really, really good champion. Next is Ghost. I put the Awakened ability kind of little star there. I would say she is beyond God tier without it, but she's not as high ranked. But even at Sig 1, I would still have her above Warlock. But you want her as high Sig as possible. She's a phenomenal champion. What the Awakened ability and what the signature level does is it allows you to rush to Special 2 faster than your opponent. It allows you to have a power advantage over your opponent and just get fights over quicker. But she just hits so hard. She phases pretty much everything. And she counters evade. She hits really, really hard. Great champion. Here's the thing with Ghost. Everybody plays her with Wasp. I don't know if I would put her in at even Awakened if she wasn't max Sig or close to it. I wouldn't put her in Beyond God tier if you have to play her with Wasp. I would put her at like super high God tier, just under Beyond, because Wasp is a hindrance. She has high damage, phenomenal damage. Don't get me wrong, but no block proficiency, no health. I know how to play Ghost without Wasp, and you should learn if you don't know how, because that is what makes her beyond God tier, beyond God tier, beyond God tier, the second best champ in the game. That's what makes her the best champion in the game, the second best in the game. The best is a 6-star. That you can take her in by herself, and she counters so many things. Learn to play her without Wasp, and you'll get a free team slot. Is what you'll get. It's so worth it. You need to learn how to play her like that. It makes her so much better. Warlock, I'm tired of hearing people say that they want to awaken Warlock with a generic gem and all that garbage. If you do not like Prestige, there is literally no reason why you should ever be spending even a tech gem on Warlock. That's ridiculous. Warlock's awaken ability is useless except for on defense sometimes, but Warlock is a phenomenal champion, immunities, and more importantly, that heal block. His damage is just actually really good if you can armor break them, and that special 2 does a lot of good damage. Guardian, ideally max Sig, but high Sig is fine. Hits so hard you can burst him down with the special 2. He never crits. And you can perfect block special attacks, power drain if you have to. This man is packed with utility, and I love playing him. Guillotine 2099, phenomenal damage. Low block proficiency, kind of, but she just hits really, really hard. And she has the power drain. I've been toying around with using both of her Digisouls on a crit every 20th hit and the lifesteal, and if your medium is that 20th hit, you can get actually a lot of healing. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of shoot through the rest here. Wolverine and Gambit with the Horseman are really, really good. The problem why Gambit is not beyond God tier for me is that you have to choose between perfect block or his special attack damage. Cable is really good, but I just feel like just that damage on that heavy attack isn't enough to just throw him into beyond God tier, because as I said before, I don't like damage as much as I like utility. Namor, he needs to be max Sig, and in the big scheme of things, I don't feel like he's useful in that many scenarios. If you can Quake, if you can use Doctor Doom, if you can cheese him down with CGR, if you can use Archangel, right? So he just has such a niche spot in anyone's roster. He requires so many Sig stones, and I don't like it. If I got Namor, I don't know if I'd Sig him. Mole Man, I feel like, is so good. Super, super good. I would rank 3 him in an instant if I got him. Hits really hard. The one problem for me is, I guess, a little bit of that utility and damage trade-off, and also the taking the hits on the block. If his block proficiency was better, then he'd be super, super insane. I love Stealth Spidey. I was considering putting him in Beyond God tier as well. Low health pool, low block proficiency or whatever, but he hits so hard, and that slow is phenomenal, and I feel like he's criminally underrated. Kingpin with the Hood synergy can remove all debuffs from himself, and that by himself is phenomenal, and he hits hard. Hitmonkey, basically like skill Corvus, I hate to say it, Legacy, except a little bit different and not as much utility, but he hits hard and he's good. Thing with his max sig, kind of like Namor, a little bit of a niche, unless you're doing Incursion Zone 20. Void, I feel like Void is kind of a little bit overrated in terms of I don't like waiting that long. I don't like the lack of damage. I really like Spider Ham. He hits hard and his damage is unique in terms of the power stings. Red Guardian, he's good, and there's a time and place for Red Guardian, but I just feel like you could use other champions for that, and he's only really sustainable without intercepting at Sig 200. Abomination with the Red Guardian synergy makes him kind of like a mini Immortal Abomination, lots of poison. Morningstar, I was talking about this in my Incursions run. If you could get 2 souls in one fight, she'd be like so good, but she just takes too long to ramp. That's basically it. Scarlet Witch, RNG based. Long shot, hits really hard, but minimal utility at a certain point. I love Mojo, and if you can get like 3 or 4 Mystic Dispersion, it's really good. I feel like just him awakened by himself is probably enough, and I feel like I really like Mojo, and I have a 5-star, and if I got a couple Mystic Gems, I'd probably awaken him. Um, Venom, great for Spider Reverse champions. Hela with the Odin synergy. Angela at Sig 182 for 3 buffs. Sig 101 for 4 buffs, and Sig 59 for 5 buffs. Can shrug off, not shrug off, just immediately expire any debuffs. Black Bolt with the Hitmonkey synergy. I feel like Star-Lord is kind of like that damage option. I mean, just going down the list, you can totally check the rest of this out, and I'm just going to kind of wrap this video up. But if you have any questions, why is one champion above the other? What do these ranks mean? Who would you use an Awakening Gem on? I'm going to go over that in a later video. Who would you rank 3 as a 6-star? I'm going to go over that in another video. But this is my tier list. This is who I believe are the best in terms of within their class, within the whole game. And so I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope this informs your decisions in your roster, your rank up, and your content. So I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.